All right. Hello, 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 you wonderful humans. Let me know, as usual, if you can hear me, if you can see me, and all of that good stuff. Um, this, this. All right, let's do that. All right. Okay. Let's do that. Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning, wherever you are, whether you can, good morning, good afternoon from where I am, good morning to wherever you guys are. As always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for letting me know that you are here, that you can see me. Asleep by Nine, my wonderful member, Laurel Berg, my Aquarian sister, Asleep by Nine, lovely to have you. Cameron, hello. Oh my gosh, it's been a while. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for being here and thank you for spending your time with me. So, as many of you already know, but if you don't and you are new to my channel and you're tuning in for the very first time, my name is Raphael. I am an astrologer, a tarot reader, a numerologist, and an energy worker. Those are my core four. Those are the things that I am known for. And ultimately, they are the skills and the spiritual sciences that I use to bring you all kinds of updates and reports. So, as you probably know from the thumbnail, from the thumbnail and from the title, this is Mars Moves, which is a live that I do every Tuesday where we're going to look at the transit of Mars throughout the week ahead. And we're going to see how we can use that energy and what we might need to know about it. If you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you. And if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose, and this resonates and it helps you in some way, shape, or form, hit the subscribe button. All right. And as always, thank you so much for those of you that spend time here on the lives. It really does mean a lot. And it really helps the channel. So for you to get all of that good engagement in, I really appreciate it. The Taurus Garden. Hello, hello, hello. All right, so let's get straight into it. So obviously, you can tell we're here to talk about Mars. Duh, right? You should add extraordinaire at the end of your list of specialties. I love it. Thank you so much. So we are here to talk about Mars moves, the actionable energies for the week ahead, where we track Mars and we're going to look at what it's doing and how we can tap into that energy, which I think is really an important part of any form of spiritual science. What are we bringing to it and how are we going to use it to best effect, right? So it is an interesting week ahead, although Mars isn't really doing much this week, I have to say. This is very much a prelude or a preparation week. Please, and I will say, please consider this week as a time of preparation for what's to come and getting ready for the deeper work of observation, right? And I have to say, observation is a really underrated skill. It's a really underrated method of traversing a lot of what we experience in life, right? Really and truthfully, observation is it's a key part of our process, and we don't do it as much now. You know, the world, everything around us moves so much quicker than it ever did that I think a lot of the time things just really pass us by. And that's such a shame because with that sort of fast energy of things passing us by, we forget to be present enough to really take time to observe what is unfolding, in front of us or around us. So that being said, Mars is still in the sign of Cancer, in the sign of its fall, right? By this time, though, I think that we are really starting to get a good understanding of this energy, right? We're starting to really understand what its meaning is, how it's showing up for us, and it will probably be deeply personal as it's in the sign of Cancer, right? That space of your chart is where you are sensitive, it's where you're traditional, reflective, caring, feeling, intuitive, loving, kind, all of those things. It's also where you need comfort and where you need to be nurtured. And it's also how you give those things to others out there in the world, right? The area of Cancer in your chart is where you require those things and where you are able to give those things to the world. So, it tells you really the house that it's in tells you how you give that to the world, right? So I want to see it in the comments right now. I want to see some flames and I want to see the house placement, right? Where is Mars in your chart? What house does Mars represent for you? I also forgot to mention, whenever I'm talking about astrology, I use whole sign tropical Western astrology for those of you that would like to know which house system I'm using. It works for me. Every so often, I will dip into equal and Placidus as well. It just kind of depends what I'm doing. But for this sort of general overview work, I find that whole sign really is best. So I want to see it in the comments, baby. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. I want to see some flames and I want to see the house placement. All right. Where is your Cancer energy? Right. We're doing the flames for Mars and the house placement. So Sushma, one of my wonderful members, that little blue badge that you see on all of these wonderful people here means that they are a member of my channel. So they get lots of juicy, good tidbits that nobody else gets. And I will say, just to let you know, I am working on something right now that is specifically just for the members, and I think you guys are going to love it. It's something that I've never done on YouTube ever. I mean, like right back to 2016, right up until like today, this is something that I've never done on YouTube before. That's going to be just for you guys. Right. So we've got third house, we've got first house, we've got fourth house, Mars in Aries in my ninth house. Ooh, okay, ninth house. That's an interesting one because it's actually a really benefic house, right? But it's in the ninth house. So very, very intriguing. I'm intrigued as to how this is playing out for you. We've also got third house, Aquarius. We've got Mars in Scorpio in the 11th. So we're not talking about your Mars, lovely. We're talking about Cancer. What house does Cancer operate in or reside in within your chart? All right, so let me bring this back. I'm going to put it back to some minutes. Oh, you know what? Let's do it at 1:15. Why not? I'm going to be a rebel today. All right, so I'm going to put that there and I am going to share the chart. So as usual, I just want you to tell me, can you see the chart or are you looking at my desktop, which is just full of so many things? Kind of like my brain, right? Many a tab is open at the same time. Let's get rid of that. All right, so DDK says Cancer is my ascendant. Cancer in the 10th for Yellow Jazz. Oops, seventh house for Jackie Stone. I mean, look, right? So certainly for those of you that have got this in the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, and the 10th, you will be feeling this right now. You'll be feeling this in a big way because it's in an angular house. Whenever we have stuff take place in those angular spaces in our chart, we tend to feel it or see it in a more physical or visceral sort of way that we experience it, right? So you can see the chart. Fantastic. All right, so as you can see, Mars here at 11 degrees of Cancer. Now, although it is at so the nodes of the moon, we've got the south node in Libra currently at 6 of Libra. Right opposite it, we've got the north node at 6 of Aries. Now it is a wide orb. This is like effectively it's a 5/6 degree orb, right? Give or take. Now, although that's quite wide, I'm still counting it, right? And there's a few reasons to this. So as you can see today, Mars is still at the bendings of the nodes. It's setting up a wide orb T-square, right? Which means that right now, we really have to deal with our stuff. Mars is a cutting energy, a severing energy, right? It's a laser treatment energy. And what this means is it's showing us how to cut away and release our inner baggage and our inner stuff. It's showing us how to actively and decisively remove and release our hurts, right? So, how to actively speak up, how to take action against doing what needs to be done, and in order to heal, right? Whatever we need in order to really heal, to move forward, to express more love, to feel more nurturing, to protect and defend our traditions or the things that make us feel a little bit gooey inside. All of these things, right? I'm seeing this Mars transit as a spiritual and emotional surgery, right? Hold on to that idea. And if you really want to explore it in a deeper significance, watch the 2025 overview that I did. It goes into a lot more depth about that idea, right? This time as well really is important, and next week especially in terms of Mars will be even more important. And obviously, as that comes, I'm going to unpack it with you as the time unfolds. As a spiritual surgery, it's showing us what has become toxic. And Cancer is the crab, right? With the pincers, it can cling to things. This is a fertile and prolific energy, right? Cancer, wherever Cancer is in your chart, it is, as I say, it's a fertile and a prolific energy. And what this tends to show up as, what it can mean for all of us in some way, shape, or form, is like one of the ways that this will show up is it gives you a really firm or what's the best way to put this? Because it's a prolific and fertile sign, whatever goes into that space will grow, right? It will proliferate. That's kind of what it does. Cancer is a very fertile energy and it will cause those things, right? Now, if that is the case, one of the things that we really do need to be aware of is once we hold on to something in the Cancer area of our chart, we can really hold on to it until it festers, right? Until it becomes toxic. And if you've been with me long enough, you will have definitely heard me say to you, with your Cancer placements, it's important from time to time to take off the shell, give it some air, and give it a bloody good rinse and a bloody good clean, because otherwise it can get musty, fusty, and a bit toxic in there, right? In the Cancer cave, as a friend of mine, we talk about this, or we used to talk about this, and actively kind of understood it in that way, right? So wherever the Cancer cave is in your chart, it is wise to do the cleaning every so often, right? To empty that space out and to really understand it. Now, Mars is an energy of cleaning and clearing, removing and cutting away. Yes, Venus likes it pretty and is into cleanliness, but Venus is about beautifying and cleaning, whereas Mars is about the clearing and the removal of the debris. Right. So it's hard work right now that we're all doing. It's deep, it's potent, and it's really making this area of our lives and our charts a bit red, a bit sore, right? And that's needed at this moment in time, right? And we're nowhere near even not even a quarter done with this. We won't really be done with this energy until April of 2025, right? So this is a big deal for all of us. So this week, I invite you to do this work, right? Stick with me over the coming weeks and months as we start to really explore this into next year and what it means for all of us, right? So if you're with me and you're thinking, you know what, Raf, I'm going to stick in with this. I'm going to do this Mars work with you from now well into like March/April of next year. Let me see some flames in the comments, right? Let me see. Are you ready? You want to use this Mars energy? You're going to go in for it. You're going to do this work, right? And I don't require anything from you for it, just to show up and do the observation, right? To really understand this. Let me see some flames in the comments. If you are ready, if you're going to use it, if you're going to do something with it, if you're going to work with Mars in his transit through Cancer, right? Which we know is going to be a big one because it's going to go retrograde at some point as well. All right, I'm starting to see those flames in the comments. I'm starting to see those flames in the comments rolling through. Nice, 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 nice. All right, good. So we've got some passion in here. Mars in Cancer or no or not, right? We've got some passion in here. Good, good, good. I like it. You guys are brave warriors. All right. So I'm going to share my chart once more. And now what we're going to do is we are going to explore the week ahead, right? Oh gosh, so many flames in the comments. Damn, you guys are on fire, quite literally. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, Magpie by nature. Hello, hello. Haha, welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to have you. All right, damn, you guys literally are on fire. I love it. Okay, so can you guys see the chart again? You just make sure before I start waffling on and then nobody can see it. Mm, In the meantime, I'm gonna have a little sip of water. Yes, okay. I love it. All right. Everybody's like, they're in for it. I love it. Love it. Okay. So you can see the chart. So as you can see, today, Tuesday, again, unless you're in London, and even if you are in London or the UK, ignore the house placements, right? We're just looking at this as really a bit of a flat chart to get an understanding of the movements that are going to take place over the next over the next week, basically. So ignore the house placements. I've set this to London because I'm in the UK. Now, what we also have is, as I said, right? Tuesday, Mars is still at the bending of the nodes, but in the T square. The planet that plays an anchor, right? So you can see this. Mars is here, it's squaring the south node. Mars is here, it's squaring the north node. So you see, in a sense, Mars is kind of playing the anchor. What that really means, or one of the ways that it can show up, is that the energy of Mars or is it's the way through the challenge that we're facing at this moment in time, right? So an important note, where the nodes of the moon in your chart, where are your nodal axes right now, right? I want to hear it. I want to see you write this in at this moment in time. So I want to see you write it into the chart, into the chat, into the comments. Where are your north node and south node transiting in your chart right now? So I can share this with you. Right now, I have the nodes in the third and ninth houses of my chart. That's where they're playing out for me, right? That's where I'm so grateful that we're no longer in the Scorpio and Taurus axis, because listen, right? That was an intense experience of it all. So Sushma has this playing out between her fifth house and 11th house, right? Wow. Okay. So creativity and pleasure versus hopes, wishes, and goals and dreams out in the world. Helen says the first house and the seventh house. Me, the first house, seventh house, us. Right. So first house, seventh house axes is a big one, right? We tend to feel that very big, very viscerally. Eva Marie Lindberg, fourth house, 10th house. Honey, I do not envy you. Listen, I do not miss those Scorpio Taurus axis eclipses because they were intense as. Yeah, okay. North Node Cancer, fifth house. Wow. All right. So big stuff. So Heidi, wherever your North Node is, the South Node will always be directly opposite it. So you're having a North Node, fifth house, 11th house eclipses. That's where they're hitting you at this moment in time. The Virgo and Pisces axis won't kick in until January 11th of 2025. So we're currently still just in the Aries Libra sort of stage of it. So Laurel says Cancer 8th, Capricorn 2nd. So money, resources, debts, big money versus, joint money, big money versus my money, personal money, right? So yeah, so it's going to be the fifth house, 11th house for you, Heidi, depending on what chart system you used. Right? The nodes are in Aries and Libra currently. They won't switch till Pisces and Virgo until January 11th. Now, we did just have a Pisces eclipse, and it's because the moon was happening close enough or within orb to be considered an eclipse, right? That's what's confusing everybody at this moment in time. But as you can see there, right, Mars is playing the anchor at this moment in time. So wherever those nodes are, this is where you're experiencing big change right now. But Mars is your way out of this. So wherever Cancer is in your chart at this moment in time, that is your way out of the discomfort that you're feeling in those two areas of life that are vying for your attention, right? This is wherever you are kind of feeling that tension through those eclipses that are happening between your houses that you've mentioned. Mars is the way through. Cancer is the energy that's going to get you out of that. And what that means is you need to get active. You need to admit how you feel about something. You need to acknowledge your feelings, right? And then you need to turn those feelings into an action. That is the way out of the rut that you are experiencing right now. It's an action that is intuitively, softly, nourishingly, protectively, defensively activated, right? That's how you're going to get past this. Now, as we come into Wednesday, you can see here, what do we see? Lunar comes into a conjunction, right? Bang on. Now, truthfully speaking, there's nothing special about this transit. It will happen once a month. But this is the first time that this has happened since that Pisces eclipse. And so that for me kind of feels like it's somewhat significant in a sense, right? But Moon Mars, this can be very sensitive, right? So Wednesday, Moon and Mars are coming through that conjunction. Lunar is in the power here, but in that conjunction to Mars, it's still an active moon, right? And it's potentially an angry one as well. And there's nothing wrong with anger. Anger can be healing, it can be cleansing, it can be powerful, and it can actually spur us on to do what needs to be done. This is, however, a sensitive energy, right? And it can bring those angry tears that I've been talking about with Mars in Cancer very much to the surface, right? Especially in response to something that feels like it's bigger than you or something that feels like it's out of your control, right? In some ways, it is out of your control. And yet, where can you lean in and be more of an active participant in this? Since there is such a sensitive energy in the space, give yourself the grace, give yourself the space to feel what you feel. And don't judge yourself for it, right? Whatever you feel. I've had this conversation a lot recently with friends, with family, with clients. It's really important to allow yourself the space and the grace to feel what you feel, whether it's anger, whether it's jealousy, resentment, bitterness. It's really important to feel what you feel and allow yourself to do that without the added judgment of, well, you shouldn't be feeling that. Because then that way you don't fully get to experience the feeling that you're having, and then it doesn't really fully pass, right? It's still controlling you from somewhere in there, right? Now, as an example, true warriors do not deny fear. They do not deny distress. They embrace it and they turn it into power and fuel, right? That's what we're really being trained here to do with Mars in Cancer, I personally feel. Maybe somebody out there feels that I'm wrong or they disagree or whatever. This is my interpretation of this energy. As we come into Thursday, you can see here Mars is at 12, and now that activation between Mars and Saturn is really starting to be felt. Not only are they in orb of perfection, right? They're coming into exactitude. It's usually like a 3 degree orb that we can say, but it's really going to start to be felt here, which means at this point, there is going to be an internal sort of drive that's starting. Maybe not, fully there, but it's definitely starting to be felt like, okay, you know what? I can do this. That Mars trine Saturn will really start to be felt here on Thursday. And even though Mars is challenged where it is, it's a steadying and sobering force that comes through into play via Saturn in Pisces. Now, this might be a spiritual, internal, or even a mystical or otherworldly kind of support that comes in. You might hear your grandparents in your ear that are no longer here tangibly speak to you and say, listen, right? So, however they would have spoken to you in life is exactly the same way that they speak to you when they're no longer here physically, right? I genuinely believe that. There's been times where I'm making a recipe, right, that one of my grandmothers has taught me, and it's like I swear I can hear them saying, "No, you don't do that. You add this, and then you add that, and you got to make sure you did it right." Like it's like you can hear them; they're there because you're paying homage. You're bringing them or you're keeping them alive in some way, right? As you do things that honor and remind you of their presence, they are still here with you in some way, right? I really believe that. You might feel the presence of your ancestors. You might gain a deep and profound knowledge or wisdom or insight that comes in at this time. Saturn in Pisces is making the mystical tangible, right? It's bringing the heavens, Pisces, to the ground, Saturn. It's also the power of water to build, to nourish, to cut through, if we need to, that which is tangible. The life-giving waters of the cosmos, right? Pisces, the information that comes from the deepest recesses of the collective unconscious, as I call it. Now, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, watch what happens. Not a great deal, right? But at this point, Mars now comes into 14 degrees of Cancer and is now exactly perfectly trine to Saturn. Because Venus is at 7 degrees of, and this is still a very wide orb, it's going to take a while for this to perfect, but is now really starting to apply to bring in that grand water trine in. I really, really love that, right? I really love that because this is, I don't know, it just feels like an energy that's gonna fortify us from the inside. And because it's Mars in a trine to a retrograde Saturn, it's very possible that this could see us return to something that we've done before that gave us really good results in the past. And because Venus is coming into the mix, by the time we truly get there, she'll be at 7 degrees, right? Beginning to enter that conversation between Mars and Saturn. And she's going to bring her energy of blending, of harmony, of connection, right? She's going to bridge the gap in some way. And as she's in the sign of Scorpio, the energy that she provides is like a soothing balm that greases the wheels so that the boys can sort of play nicely. I mean, they're playing nicely anyway because they're in a trine. I feel like because Venus is in Mars's sign, remember Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. Sorry, I've got that bloody itchy nose thing that happens from time to time. You see how that just started to happen when I started to talk about Venus in Scorpio. It's Scorpio energy that does it. I always get the itchy nose. I always notice this as well. Whenever I was recording like the monthlies or the weeklies, whenever I get to the Scorpio energy, I start to get an itchy nose. Right? Saturn is adding that. She's sobering it up. And also because she's in the sign of Scorpio, sending positive energy to Mars, she's sending energy from Mars's own sign. So it's energy that he already understands. So this is giving a Mars that is somewhat challenged a boost of energy that it can actually use, right? As we come into next week, Monday and Tuesday especially, watch what happens. Uh, Monday, Tuesday, right? We're going to start to see now Mercury is going to start to square Mars, right? Certainly by the time we get into next week, Tuesday, and obviously I'll be here to talk about that as it comes. But this is important for a few reasons, right? Mercury in Libra squaring Mars is going to provide the need to weigh up the options, but also to get really vocal about what we're feeling and experiencing. And it's possible that not everyone is receiving that well, right? That's more than fine. You got to press on anyway. The grand water trine at this point will really start to be kicking in. Mars at 15, retrograde Saturn at 14, Venus at 10, right? It's starting to really get to a very strong place at this point. So, that being said, there is a link in the description for those of you that would like to take it a little bit further. If you like the way that I do this kind of Astro Tarot, if you like how I'm working with this, there's a chance to work with me one-on-one for 3 months. We start in October, we go right the way through to the end of the year to get you ready for 2025. It's going to be a monumental year, as many of you know, right? If you want to work with me one-to-one, you're going to get monthly check-ins, you get your master over plan, and then on top of that, you get one-to-one WhatsApp support. So you're going to get literally voice notes. You're going to get me on speed dial effectively to be able to ask your questions. I don't do emergency readings or anything like that. But if you do want to work with me one-to-one, you get that one-to-one support. Voice notes, phone calls, all of that good stuff, right? And we're going to build you a strategy for the last 3 months of this year so that you can absolutely kill it out there. All right. So I'm going to put the link for this in the chat. And then we're going to press on to the next part of it. So there's a right up there. If you want to find out more and you think, you know what, actually, Raf, I would very much like to work with you one-on-one, then let's go in for it. I'm going to put the link here in the chat and it's in the description of the video as well. All right. Now, that being said, take a breath, right? Settle your energy. Come into the present moment. And I want you to just take a couple of deep breaths. And while you're doing that, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So I'm going to give these a shuffle, and I want you out there in the comments to tell me when to stop. All right, so I'm just going to keep shuffling, and you guys are going to say when. Absolutely, Spirit makes your nose itch. It's so crazy. And it's always like, it always feels like I always feel like it's like a feather, right? Like someone's got a feather or something and they're just doing that at the tip of my nose. Drives me mad. Stop. All right. Thank you. Asleep by nine. Stop. Jackie Stone. Stop. I literally like heard that in my mind. Like, stop. Oh, that's funny. All right. So the first card out is going to be the best area of focus, right? What we're going to be looking at here is how Mars's energy can help us shape our focus, right? And for this, we've got the Five of Cups. So the greatest message that I can give you with this is the best way for you to focus your Martian energy is literally by acknowledging what has come to its absolute end, right? This is about really taking a moment to literally sit still and say, okay, you know what? This has seen its time and its space in my life. Remember what I said, Mars is a cutting, severing energy of removal. This is where we get rid of something. And in that Cancerian area of our chart, we are being asked to really acknowledge how we feel about something and to say, okay, you know what? It's best for me to let this go now, right? Feel it. Feel your feelings. This card is a card of traditionally, it's a card of mourning, right? And when something comes to an end or a close in our lives, we do go through that period of like, wow, you know, this has come to an end. You feel that? I feel that, right? Knowing, okay, this is done, right? It's seen its completion, it's seen its ending in my life. And now I have to just acknowledge and accept that. And I have to process it. So the way that we focus our energy this week is by feeling the feels and acknowledging what has come to an end and really giving it the send off that it deserves to say, okay, you know what? There's nothing else I can do here. This has come to a close or an end for a reason. And do you know what happens when you get into that space of acceptance around what's come to a close or an end in your life? You truly start to free up internal space. You create for yourself a space within you where you can kind of say, okay, you know what? That's no longer taking up attention in the back of my brain. This is no longer taking up space on my internal. And what that does is allow you to feel more, to feel deeply, and actually to start to heal. Right? So the second card that we're going to pull, this is an area to watch out for. Potential challenges, pitfalls, obstacles, etc. Areas of overextension, right? That's sometimes a problem. I know it is for me. And for this, we've got the Empress card. Okay, so if you know me, you know what I'm about to say, right? What this tells me more than anything else, and I'm talking as much to myself here as everybody else, right? The area that we have to watch out for this week is the overindulgence that you do when you feel hurt, when you feel compromised, when you feel challenged in some way, right? If you're anything like me, sorry, 1 second. If you're anything like me, it's sugar, right? I will sit and burn through a whole bag of Oreos or Haribos or anything chewy or sticky or toffee like. I'm a fiend for those things, right? Whatever your vices are, and isn't it interesting, right? That in rather than the devil that's shown up for us, it's actually the Empress. What's the message here? Whatever your pleasure is that you actually use too much of or do too much of to make yourself feel good, the challenge that's showing up for you this week is you will think, well, I'm doing this to make myself feel good. And yet, what you're actually doing is trying to fill a hole or a space in you with something external rather than just stopping to experience what you're experiencing. So Heidi says, that's me, or retail therapy, right? Retail therapy. It could be food, it could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be sex. It could be all of the above, right? This is the Empress after all. The Empress likes, you know, he says that after I baked brownies last night. Right? So now that you know this, give away half of the batch so that over the course of this week, if it does get a little bit sticky or a bit intense, particularly around tomorrow and Friday, right, you haven't got that there to reach for. This is about really having an embodied experience this week to say, okay, I can experience the challenge without having to fill that space within me with everything that I can get my hands on. Another way this can also show up, and this I think is really important to mention for all of us, because the Empress comes because the Empress comes with a level of uh, truthfully speaking, it can be gluttony or greed, but it can also come with a level of vanity. This week, if something comes up and you feel like, oh, well, that felt, you know, really, like, that felt like it was aimed at me, check for the evidence. I want you to really have a look and listen and say to yourself, Is this coming up like were they actually talking about me? Or do I just feel that way? Is this my ego looking for something to latch onto, to feel bad for, so that I can justify these kinds of behaviors? Too much food, too much wine, too much sex, da 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 da. Right? That's a really deep concept, but it's something that we all do as human beings, right? It's especially when we have unconscious stuff, which is why this Mars transit at the moment, as hard as it can be, is actually truly beautiful. All right. Um, okay. Third card, the outcome of diligent action. So if we do the hard work, if we show up, if we really do, start to use this in a right way, what does it provide for us? The Eight of Pentacles, right? So aside from work, jobs, etc. So Cindy, there is potentially new work ahead of this for you, right? It's also possible that you could start to shift or change the work that you're doing or your job role through hard, diligent conversation with the place that you work at, right? Now, for all of us, what this really means with the Eight of Pentacles is if we do this work, right? If we stay conscious, if we do the work and we really show up for ourselves and use this Mars energy in the right way, there's a chance for us to literally create resources for ourselves through and from the skills, the talents, the abilities that we have innately. But what it requires is a strength of focus, right? We all got that. Okay. Well, listen, don't I tell you, Raf and the pastries, right? Pastries, especially anything salted caramel was the worst thing to happen, right? Salted caramel been out here doing me dirty for a long time, right? Because I tell you, anything salted caramel, right? Sugary, sweet. I mean, it's not as bad as recently. I did have a somatic experience. It wasn't as deep as I needed it to be. And, truth be told, she did actually mention to me that sometimes external triggers will, so it's lessened for sure. And I'm more aware now of when I'm eating sugary or sweet things just for the sake of it, as opposed to because I really want it or I fancied it or, it was a good thing to do. Okay, so I'm shuffling now. Listen, salty sweet devil. That right, that's like literally just like you just created a bio for Raph, a three-word bio, right? I want you guys to tell me to stop, and now we're going to look at the elemental breakdown, right? So fire signs, air signs, water signs, and earth signs. So when you're ready, just tell me to stop. What is the message for Mars for the elements over the course of this week? All right, stop. Okay. So for the fire signs, you have the Temperance card. All right. Beautiful. So if you're a fire sign, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, this week's Mars energy really has the ability to bring an inner sense of equilibrium, a greater sense of alignment, and a true deep internal and therefore spiritual level of healing, right? The other way this can potentially show up is you start to really understand on an internal level what healing actually looks like for you and where it is that you really need to align yourself energetically to bring your desire into your world, right? This is about getting really clear for the fire signs this week. It's about getting really clear internally what the resistance is between the thing that you most desire at this moment in time, right? Couldn't say it any clearer. For the air signs, Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, you have, okay, I see you, air signs. You've got the Magician card, right? And so this Mars energy is really trying to show you where the power in your life truly is in your hands and what you can do about it, how you can shape this, what it is that you're communicating with the world that is either assisting you or hindering you from creating your desire, right? With the magician card, and here's where this gets really interesting, right? The fire signs and the air signs they're a dualistic energy, right? They're both masculine elements. Air feeds fire, right? They're complementary elements. They get on very well. Temperance is as within, so without. The magician is as above, so below, right? So if you are an air sign, you really have the ability to work with the cosmic energies that are surrounding you at this moment in time. This is the universe and tarot trying to say to you, the power really does lie in your hands, but you got to do something with it. And you have to be really clear, because the air signs are all about communication. You have to be really clear about what you are communicating out into the world and how that is either helping you or hindering you in some way, shape, or form. This is about getting really honest about how you are using or wasting your personal power, and how what you're speaking out into the world is either stopping you or supporting you. For the water signs among you, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, you have the 10 of Wands. So first things first, if you are a water sign, whatever your water sign placement, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, this week, I want you to be really clear on what burdens you now realize and understand at a very deep level are no longer yours to carry. Right? This is where you get really honest with yourself and say, I've been doing this, I've been holding this, I've been da 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 for whatever. And you know what? No, I'm not doing it anymore. It's not my responsibility. It's not mine to hold on to. It's not mine to carry. And it ain't up to me to fix or to save you. This isn't about abandoning people. It's about holding a firm boundary and realizing what is and isn't your stuff. Right? Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, where people talk at you instead of to you this week, shut them down. All right? I'm not talking about having a moment where it's like, oh, well, you should be a bit nicer to me. Shut them down. Backside. Right? I'm telling you here, this is not mine. Enough. That ain't mine to carry. Right? No, thank you. And then finally, because it's a wands card, wands is fire, it's all about action, right? This Mars energy requires, in order for you to really make this stick, where you really put that boundary to say, that's not mine to carry anymore, in order to make it stick, you have to take a real world, tangible action to make it happen. Right, to set it into motion, if you like. It's kind of like a firework, right? You have to light the spark for it to do its thing. Okay. And then finally, for the earth signs, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, you have the Four of Swords, right? So how you use this Mars energy is for true observation, right? This week, it's going to be revealed to you. You don't have to do anything about it. You just have to clock it, right? Pay attention. That's what you're being asked to do. Because truthfully speaking, the Four of Swords is a rest card. It's waiting, patience, stillness. Sit still, right? But truthfully speaking, air is an active element, right? And the Four of Swords is an air card. And the message here, if you are a Taurus, Capricorn, or a Virgo, yes, to sit still, but observe, pay attention, right? And truthfully speaking, with the Four of Swords, you're being told to sit still for a moment, right? Just take a moment to observe. If you're a water sign, sit still, watch, listen, wait. Wait long enough to understand what is being revealed to you. And it kind of, the feeling that I get from this is, you've heard that saying where they say, um, when people show you who they are, believe them, right? This is what you are really being shown this week. You Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo people, sit still. Sit still long enough to really observe what's taking place around you. And who is for you will be revealed to be so. And who is not necessarily for you, going to be out here showing their backside. right? You're out here showing your ass. I know, right? You'll see it. You'll see it. Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, sit still. Pay attention to what is revealed to you. Now, with that said, it was a lot, right? Take a moment, take a breath. I want to see the flames in the comments once more before we wrap it up. Let me see those flames. Let me see that you're ready to use this week's Mars energy and put it to best effect. I've given you messages, I've given you actions, I've given you ways to make this happen. Let's see it, right? Let me see the flames in the comments. I want to see it. I want to see you guys are ready to put this stuff into action. Great minds, yards. Great minds. A little bit more water. My absolute pleasure. My absolute pleasure. Hey, love it. I love seeing it. This fire roll through the comments. Hey, I love it. I love it. I love it. I see so many of these little flames up in here. Brilliant. All right. Lucienne. Oh my gosh. Taylor, where you been, mama? All right. Cool, cool, cool. So to wrap it up, to recap, the Mars energy this week. It's really about observation. That's a big part of it. It's also about being really honest and clear around your emotions and how you can use this energy and really being an active participant in it, right? It was intense, Heidi. It absolutely was. And I felt that, but I knew that these were messages that I needed to deliver. This is the work that I've been tasked with, and I hope that I show up enough for you guys, right? I've got my members. You guys are beautiful. I want to give you as much as I possibly can, and my wider community as well. I also want to continue to show up for you guys. So, in terms of next week we've got an eclipse, right? We're currently in between eclipses, but next week we've got an eclipse. So you want to stick around for this, right? You want to make sure that you are ready and waiting. So every Monday to Friday, we're going to go live at 12:10-ish, give or take. Next week on Tuesday, right, you are going to see we're going to be talking about all kinds of interesting stuff. So if you want to get the lowdown and the skinny, you know what to do, right? In terms of please don't forget to like, share, to hit that subscribe button, share it with as many people as you possibly can. I would be extremely grateful. The engagement really helps me. It really helps the channel. Share it with people that you love and care about. Put it out there on your socials if you could. I would be eternally grateful. Like the video, get at me in the comments. I absolutely love all of you for it. Have a wonderful week ahead. Take care, and I will see you very, very soon.